everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Corin, also known as the Kitten Choreographer. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a teen with a passion for animal rescue and, in particular, kitten rescue. So today's video is a sad one to make, and I just want to go ahead and put a content warning here that I'm going to be talking about the death of a kitten and just grief in general related to animals passing away in kitten rescue and other sorts of animal rescue. So in my last video, I posted about how I got two little tiny newborn kittens and their mom that was hit by a car. I was taking care of those kittens all on my own with no help from their mom, Carolyn, because she was hit by a car, didn't really know what was going on, had suffered some neurological disabilities of her own, and she also wasn't producing any milk. I said in that video that I didn't know if the babies were going to make it. They were incredibly tiny, with one of them being 64 grams at birth and the other being 55 grams. So that is in reference, if you don't know how small newborn kittens are supposed to be, I'd say the average is at least 80 grams to like 120 grams. So they were very tiny, and they weren't really gaining weight well. They were eating, but they just, you could tell, we realized talking to the vet that they were kind of premature. We think something happened with the mom's body when she was hit by the car that caused her to not be able to produce these kittens up to their full size, so they didn't develop fully in her womb. So they were extremely tiny, and unfortunately one of them did pass away. So this is just editing me kind of popping in with an interjection. So I filmed this video several days before I am uploading it. I just kind of always do that with my videos so that I have time to get it ready and stuff. Unfortunately, in between that, a couple days ago for me posting this, I'm filming this the day I'm posting it, and unfortunately Lucky did pass away. In this video I'm only talking about how Clover passed away because at the time I filmed this, Lucky was still here. But unfortunately, she's not here anymore. This is the first interjection I'm gonna make. I'm just making this one right now so you don't go into this and like think Lucky's alive until the second one I'm gonna make later. And kind of after explaining Lucky's past situation, I'm going to do another interjection to explain how Lucky passed. That will not be graphic or anything, but it will be just me sharing her story. I am going to include what I filmed back when I thought she was still alive about her first almost death experience, but I just wanted to give you a warning so you didn't go into this thinking she was alive until like I randomly popped in and was like, actually she passed away. So going into this, both of the two tiny newborn kittens I took have passed away, unfortunately. Okay, back to the video. The one that passed away was Clover, the boy, and I'm actually surprised that out of the two kittens he was the one to pass, because he was the bigger one, and in the couple days leading up to his passing, he was doing really well for a kitten his size. He was latching at every feeding, drinking up 2 or 3 milliliters of formula all on his own. He was also just super active. He was just doing well, at least I thought. But we think there must have been something wrong with him congenitally because his little body just couldn't survive long. He passed away at 6 days old for him, and at the time I'm posting this, it will have been about a week since his passing. I'm filming this on Sunday, March 20th, and for reference, he passed, let's see, on Thursday the 17th, and I will be posting this on the 23rd, the Wednesday. I'm sorry I missed an upload, but he passed the day I would usually film for my Sunday upload, so I hope you guys can understand that I wasn't really up to that. I think most of you guys will. You're usually really good about that kind of thing. And he did really well in his overnight feedings. I was doing overnight feedings every 2 hours, and pretty much through all of the feedings overnight, he was fine. And this is the night before his passing. But when I got up at the 8 a.m. feeding, he was not active at all. He was kind of cold to the touch, which kittens should feel warm. They should feel like a living creature that has warmth, especially these newborn kittens that should be on a heat source at all times. I knew when I saw him at 8 a.m. when he couldn't eat and he wasn't active at all that he was probably going to pass away. But even though I thought he was going to pass away, I was determined to try for a few more hours to keep him alive. I did Fading Kitten Protocol for 4 hours, and a quick rundown of this protocol is you put a little Caro syrup on kittens' gums every 3 minutes, make sure they're warm. That's just the basics of it. There's more to it, but I don't really want to get into that right now. But the thing about this protocol is it's very mentally taxing, physically taxing too, because you are putting Karo syrup on a kitten's gums for every 3 minutes while this kitten is dying in a lot of cases. I hate it. I hate doing it, but of course I'm always going to try and save the kitten. I just hate the experience of having a kitten there dying. Even though I was so emotionally drained towards the end of it, I didn't stop until he started agonal breathing. And that's basically just when they start gasping for air. I haven't done much research on it, but I'm pretty sure it's not even like an actual form of breathing. It's just a body's last response. And don't quote me on that. That's just like top of my brain. This video isn't researched or anything. And when a kitten starts doing that, you know they're not gonna make it. So I decided to stop doing FKB, Feeding Kitten Protocol, and I just put him on a heat pad and laid him on my chest. And I just sat with him until he passed. That's not the first time I've done this. I've done that several times before. Because a lot of the time you know when a kitten's gonna pass, even if you try super hard to get them to not pass, you can't always save them. In fact, a lot of the times with these really tiny kittens, you can't save them when they get to that point, and that's really hard. It's not really true to call Clover's death a shock, because when taking in these kittens, I knew that there was a chance they would die. But he was doing so well. Like, the only thing I'm gonna say is that if someone had told me before either one of them passed, like one of the kittens was going to pass, I would have guessed it was Lucky, his sister, the smaller one, not him, because he was bigger and he was active the day before, but just how quickly he went downhill in a period of literally 2 hours while I wasn't feeding him. Watching him, I was sleeping because it was like 6 to 8 a.m. And then just to see that they go in and their bodies can't handle it. It's hard. These kittens are very fragile. And that's why I personally don't like to take in premature kittens. You know, I did with these guys because they needed it, and I will take in premature kittens again in the future if I need to. But, you know, they're not my favorite. I obviously prefer the healthy kittens that are bigger, chunkier, because they're just a lot easier on my mental health as a person. But yes, Clover did pass away, and in addition to kind of talking about that, I also wanted to open a discussion for other rescuers and anyone that really works or is involved in a strenuous field for mental health. Sorry, that's my family up there. You know, whether you're a doctor or a nurse in the ER or really anything. There are countless others. But fostering is really hard. It's really hard. I love to post the fun parts. I love to post my kittens playing, talk about how my kittens are adopted, just all these happy stories. And that is a big part of fostering. It's the best part of fostering, to see them all be happy and healthy and all that good stuff, but it's not the only part of fostering. Rescue is not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it's hard, especially for people like me who work with the really tiny kittens, the orphans, the neonates. I personally still think it's worth it, even though it's very mentally straining. But I definitely see how people need to take breaks and how some people just can't do it, and that's totally okay. Your mental health is really important too. One of the things that's the hardest is that I work so hard for them, and I'm not garnering sympathy, you know, it's my choice to do this, but I am saying as a rescuer, it's really hard when you work sleepless nights to try and keep these babies alive. Like, he was alive for 6 days. I had him from day 0, so that means, you know, almost a week of nights where I didn't sleep well because I got up 4 times every night, every 2 hours to feed them. And so that's why it's even harder when you see them pass. And I do think that this duo of Lucky and Clover are the hardest kittens I've ever had. And that's actually not because of how sick they are, or even just how tiny they are. I've had other kittens around their size, just a little bit bigger, that passed quicker. I had 3 preemies over a year ago that all passed within 24 hours of me having them. And so yes, technically those kittens were sicker, but they weren't as hard for me because I only had them for 24 hours. With them, I literally had 1 night of sleeplessness. But this, it's been over a week now because Lucky's still here. And it's at a point where it is taxing, and it's even harder when they pass after you've had them for a long time, because not only have you grown closer to them as a bond because you love them because they're kittens, but also just because you've worked so hard to keep these guys alive. It is hard to keep premature kittens, even just newborn kittens, whether they're orphaned or not, especially if they're orphaned, but kittens that have moms can be hard too. When you work so hard to keep these babies alive and they pass, it's just like a punch to the gut, because you know, no matter what you do, it isn't always enough, and that's so hard for someone like me that I would do whatever it took to keep these babies alive. But there is a sort of helplessness when it comes to watching a kitten fade, and just knowing that you want to save this baby so bad, but there's nothing you can do. And that's a really, really hard thing to go through and accept, and I don't always accept it. It makes me so angry, it makes me so sad. It wrenches my heart out because I want to save these babies. I go into this because I want to save them, because I love them. And when you can't save them, it's so difficult, because as much as I would do anything I could for these kittens, I'm just a person. And I know I've saved a lot of kittens, and I'm proud of myself for that. I have a hard time admitting that because I don't generally think highly of myself, but I am proud of myself for all the kittens that I've saved. But it's still very hard knowing that I can't save them all. It's hard when you think there are kittens on the streets passing. It's hard when there are kittens in my house passing. It's just hard knowing that no matter what you do, it's not always enough. And yes, every kitten that you save is a world of difference to that kitten and the family that that kitten goes to and all of that. And that's great. It's still very hard when one passes. There is a very confusing element to this situation because, like I said, Lucky was the one I expected to pass. She was the one doing worse than Clover, and yet she didn't. On Thursday night, when I lost Clover, I was pretty sure Lucky was gonna pass too. And I got up at night to do one of her feedings, and I was positive she was gonna pass. I was so positive she was gonna pass that I didn't stay up and do feeding kitten protocol. She was limp, she was cold, she wasn't breathing much. So, you know, it was night, and I had not been sleeping well, obviously, because I'd been caring for these two babies, and so I made the decision to just close the incubator door, because I did move the two of them into the incubator once Clover started fading. Carolyn wasn't caring for them at all. She'd stopped even kind of going in to cuddle with them, so I kind of just decided that they needed to be in the incubator where the warmth was surrounding them, and it was just better for them environment-wise. I just closed the incubator door and I went to bed. And I got up and the girl was still alive. I was shocked. I had my dad come down and we kind of looked in at the incubator together because I didn't want to find her, even though I expected that she would have passed. I still didn't want to like find her alone, so my dad came down and we opened the door and she just starts screaming, meow, meow, meow. She was so active. If you hear chirping in the background, that's Carolyn. She's still here. She's going to be getting spayed in a couple weeks after her brain swelling's kind of fully gone down. Random update here, but Carolyn is doing really well. I think she's regaining some of her vision, and she's also a lot more neurologically sound. She's walking better, she's running more, and so I am really happy with her progress. She is still here right now though, because we're gonna wait, get her spayed in a couple weeks, and then she will go to a different foster. But Lucky was active. Lucky was warm. Lucky was acting as if she had not almost died the night before. And I am shocked. I am like, what? I was so confused. I was legitimately confused because I was positive that she was going to pass away. And she didn't. And so I went right back to caring for her. And so Lucky is still here. She is very slowly gaining weight, but she is seeming to do relatively well. I cannot say for sure that she will survive, definitely, or that she will not. I am just saying that I'm hopeful. I really hope that she can push through. She's such a fighter, and she's really got a good bit of luck to her. But I honestly can't believe how she's doing. She's defying the odds day by day, and she is, as I'm filming this, 9 days old. Can't believe it, honestly. Okay, sorry for this not very good angle. I just really kind of want to film this and get it up, and I don't really feel like setting up my lights or anything. So I'm just gonna film it like this real quick. So I know what you've just seen is how Lucky had a near-death experience and how she was 9 days old at the time I filmed it.
She unfortunately passed away a day later. She passed away the morning of her being 10 days old. It was pretty sudden, but fortunately she was not in any pain. She did not have any suffering. So I woke up and she seemed, you know, all right at like 8 a.m., but she was still like kind of not doing very well. Nothing I thought was imminent danger, but just like something I took note of. And I expected that she might be a little bit worse at the 10 a.m. feeding, but I didn't expect what happened. I got all ready for 10 a.m. feeding, got the formula, and then I opened the incubator and she had already passed. She passed in her sleep pretty soon before I went in. Fortunately, it was in her sleep. She didn't suffer at all. She didn't have to go through agonal breathing or just fading much. She just passed in her sleep. So, of course, I really didn't want her to pass, but, you know, since she did have to pass, I am glad that it was in a peaceful way where she did not suffer at all. I am very heartbroken that both of these kittens passed away. Obviously, I love them both very much. It's very hard because I had Lucky for 10 days, and that was a long time for me to be getting up 4 times a night only to not have her survive. So I've just been sleeping. I've slept 2 full nights since she passed because obviously I don't have a reason to get up, and it's very difficult, but I'm just trying to be grateful that she did have a little bit of life, because I really think that all the life she had was bonus life, especially after her first almost death experience. And it was hard to take care of them for so long and have them pass, but I'm just glad they felt love, at least for a few days before they passed, because it was better for them to pass warm, loved, and fed than on the streets. So yeah, I'm gonna head back into the video. Sorry for this weird interjection here, I just felt it was necessary to update you on the situation.
But I'm also just opening conversation. Now, rescuers very often struggle with grief and mental health. Watching a living being that you love die it's terrible. It's so hard. And so rescuers often struggle with grief. And even if they haven't recently had a kitten pass, we struggle with our mental health a lot because we know there is pet overpopulation. There are animals dying in the streets, and it's really hard sometimes. And especially with me, and I know a lot of the rescue friends I have, we also struggle with our own mental health separated from rescue. You know, I have my own diagnosed mental health conditions that I have just because that's how my brain is. And so it definitely is really hard for us a lot of the time. And to all my rescuers out there, I want you to know that it's not good to just bottle up your emotions. Find someone to talk to. That has helped me a lot. That has helped everyone in the rescue that I work with a lot. Find someone to talk to. It's great if you find another rescuer who knows what's going on, but even if it's not, find a friend, you know, someone you trust. A therapist is amazing. I love therapy. Therapy has helped me so much with kittens and then also with myself. I do know therapy is not accessible to everyone though, unfortunately. I wish it was, but it's not. But if you can go to therapy, I recommend it. And if you can't, just try and find a loving support system with your friends and family. I went into this just with a vague outline of wanting to kind of update my situation with these kittens and also just kind of open up about how grief is really hard. But I just want to say to everyone out there watching this, please fix your animals. Please. The kittens that I have, every kitten I've had that has died because someone did not fix their animal. If you have pets and you have not fixed them, please fix them. Please. Like, I'm literally begging you. And that does not just go for the pets that live in your house. It also goes for any animals that you see around your neighborhood, you know, your workplace. If you go somewhere and there are cats or there are dogs and you realize they haven't been fixed, if you care for these animals, it is your responsibility to get them fixed. There are tons of videos out there on how you can help trap animals and get them fixed. A lot of the times there are also rescues in your area that will do all of the work for you. So yes, it is really hard to be a rescuer sometimes. And I'm sorry this video has been sad. I will try and post some more uplifting videos later. But yes, final notes. Rescue is hard, but I'm very glad that Clover was loved for the time that I had him. Because if he had been not with me or another foster or a rescue, it would have been a lot worse for him. And he wouldn't have been loved when he died. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like it and subscribe for more kitten-related content. I upload on Sundays and on Wednesdays if I can, and if I can't, then I upload whenever I'm able to. Also, please make sure to leave any thoughts or questions that you have down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching again, and goodbye!